This is Maren Hogan with Red Branch Media, and you're listening to Dr. Bob Nolly and Labrador Leadership.
Yes, we are.
Live from the RVA, this is the Labrador Leadership Podcast with Dr. Bob Nolly. The program that brings you the leadership skills that can make you the most authentic, approachable leader for the sake of your business, your team, and for you. Now, here's Bob.
Ladies and gentlemen, you keep finding your way back, and I am so glad. We're all glad. Welcome to the Labrador Leadership Podcast. How are you on this fine day? Are you still taking care of one another? There'll be a quiz later. Look out. Here it comes. Today, we have a very special lady on the line. Very special friend of mine who I've run into in the podcast world and that drinks from the same leadership water that we do. She is the host of a great podcast called The Business Side of Business, and her own coaching business called Talmar It Up is just a huge success. Talmar Anderson, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Bob. You know, I just love that you literally make me smile. From the first word, I start smiling listening to you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's very gracious. Thank you. I mean, and that's the way we should be looking at life, I think. You know, I coach people and say, you know, when you look across the room at somebody and you see the corners of their mouth turned down, I mean, permanently turned down, like that's how they sit on their face. You go, there's issues there. So just be aware of that when you deal with people like that. And they come back to me and months later just go, I looked in the mirror and the corners of my mouth turning down. I need help.
Well, and you know, that's a great leadership topic for you if you haven't done it yet. Perspective, making sure you're considering where the other person could be coming from when they hear what you're saying. But I know that's not what we're here for today. Just keep it in mind.
well, no, but that's the broadest of topics that we always talk about, because the biggest mistake we always make is when we see somebody that's angry or exhibiting some other aberrant behavior, we immediately go to them and make the fundamental attribution error of saying, gee, that person is really, you know, whatever, fill in the blank there.
Yeah.
And we say that's something internal that's causing that, where most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's something external, something going on in their lives or the traffic they had to get through to get to where they are. You know, anything which seems small to us, that can much more often be the trigger. All right, enough of that.
Yeah.
Thus endeth the lesson.
And thus it was so.
Okay, so talk about the show. It sounds great. You got a huge hit on your hands.
Thanks.
How did you get started with the business side of business?
Well, I really have always had a very distinct mission in mind. I just want to make business easier for people. And by business, I mean the operations and the management side. It's not a intuitive thing, and people really just assume that they have to figure things out on their own. And so I'm always looking for ways to create content and deliver quick, specific answers so that a business owner can go out and really start to utilize different tools and methods and understand the processes involved in building a successful business. The Business Side of Business podcast was just a natural addition to my blogging and all the other facets that I had to get the word out and really give people specific targeted information. And that's what's a little different about my podcast is it's less about interviewing the guests on their businesses and how you can work with them. It's about how to utilize their specialty, whether it's Periscope, which is a trending topic right now, or if you've had pricing issues in the past, different specific topics can be searched for, and you can really get an understanding of how to utilize it immediately, creating action in your business.
That's just great. And, you know, when you said those two things right there, whether you're getting the information through your podcast, The Business Side of Business, or your blog, do you like sitting down to the microphone? Does that feel good to you?
Well, it certainly feels better than sitting in front of a camera.
Yes, I know that feeling. What is it I say? I'm face made for radio.
I just, I really like conversation, and I get excited about what I do. So getting to share that with other experts and put that information out there, if it's useful to people, then I am on board, whatever it takes. And the microphone has definitely been a great way. It's been so well received. And the best part was within 2 hours of releasing the podcast, absolutely the very first day, I already had somebody email me back that they had utilized tips that they had learned about on the first 3 episodes. And so I was like, okay, universe, right sign. I'm going to keep going with
I
this.
know what that feels like. That's so fulfilling just to get that feedback and go, oh my gosh, it's working. We're on to something.
Yeah.
So when you put your hands on the keyboard to write, I just told somebody I was interviewing the other day, I went, I think I may be a writer by nature because it's just maybe the way of the thought, but I love doing both, and I'm sure we both do, and I love reading your stuff.
Oh, you're so kind. Yeah, and I can't get away from one or the other. I imagine that I will have both of these outlets for me to share insight and experiences and resources, both the writing and through the podcast, as long as the audience will have me.
So I just finished an interview earlier with somebody that will be aired by the time I get you there, so folks will have heard that. His name is Sam Anderson. He's an entrepreneur. And he and I had a great conversation about the crises of confidence that entrepreneurs have, or any small business owner, to just think, yeah, here's my passion over here. Here's the little circle right here. But I can't get there because I need more money, or I need to do a $10,000 website, or I need to find a building, or I need to find a VA, or I need to do all of these things. And all of a sudden the list gets too long and the little germ gets in your head that says, I'm not going to get this done. And I think what you're doing is helping people get over those crises of confidence. Those are just debilitating.
Well, yeah, and it is. There's so much information out there, and understanding what's applicable to you and your business. I try to make sure to target, when we're talking about who should be using this, because not every tool is for every business, and certainly not even at every stage of growth, right? We want to make sure we have different needs at different times. But that crisis of confidence, I would challenge entrepreneurs to really consider whether they're setting a goal and a metric. And I know the word goal is really, it makes people roll their eyes, but whatever we do, we have to go, what's the point, right? Why are we doing this? If we're creating a marketing campaign, do we want 10 people to click through? If we don't define where we're trying to go to, we can't have success. So we absolutely never feel like we're done or we've done anything well. And that's just setting ourselves up for failure.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
That crisis of confidence is right in that moment. If you can choose what will make you feel satisfied and work towards that, then you can have that moment of satisfaction and not feel like you're constantly running.
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about the leadership thread for just a minute. One of the most important things that I talk to folks that I work with about is how they manage their commitments. And the answer is often very flippantly, oh, that's too condescending. That's not what I mean. But, it's always like, I use this app, or I have this Moleskine notebook, or I have something that I went, that's not it.
Nope.
Your commitment is, you not only should be saying, yes, I'll do that for you. You should be saying, yes, I'll do that when.
Yes. Commitment and consistency, right?
Yeah, because I've had a few clients that are service-oriented, people that, what's the most frustrating thing to you to have somebody, whether, let's say, a plumber, well, that's horrible because that means you got water gushing on the floor somewhere, but an electrician or somebody you want to do work on your house, and he goes, yeah, I can do that for you, and I'll be there next week. And, first you should be thinking, does he mean Monday or Friday? Because I need to handle my schedule all. And then next week goes through and he's not there.
Yeah.
So you call back and you go, or you ignore him and call somebody else. But you have to say when. And then, it breaks down because you can't, because something happened. The job you had before takes too long. How do you handle that? Hey, I know I promised I would be there tomorrow. I can't be there tomorrow, and I apologize.
Yeah. Well, and it's setting expectations, right, which is a huge leadership quality that people need to be thinking about. It's all about communicating what the expectation is and making sure both sides understand that answer.
And the reason leadership is so important to me, and why I keep crunching the conversation, is because when we say that word, like the old TV game show password, the password is leadership. Bing. Yeah, some image comes to mind, whether it's, the opening scene of Patton, or, the image of some military leader, or the image of a business leader wearing the sharply pressed suit with the
the uniform,
directing,
right?
Making this hand gesture, we're going this way, or whether it's, an athlete or something there. We all bring up that image, and people go, well, that's not me. I'm none of those things. But you are.
Yeah.
Because there are things that are important in your life, whether you're just leading your family, or leading a small business. Look, everybody now, or so many people, have the opportunity to do something entrepreneurial, and there are folks that are starting multi-level marketing opportunities.
Yeah.
Folks that have done nothing, men and women alone, the housewives, the house husbands, that now have to get something done, and all of a sudden, they're leading a small team.
Yeah.
What skills do they need there? And that's what they need to get their hands around.
Yeah, yeah. And I like how you keep going back to the commitment, because at the end of the day, it's committing to getting the things done on your list, right? If you can make the list of things we have to move forward to find success, and say we're too busy to get to them because we're too busy making lists, we have to commit, right? That's why so many coaches and productivity specialists talk about the calendar. If you don't make the time, it can't happen. And so committing to you and your business and creating the space to get those things done, that's how you get to success. And that's how you show examples of success. You tell your staff, your company, your people that you're going to be working on something and you're going to meet a deadline, and you communicate with them to let them know, okay, this is the time I'm working on it, and I'm going to be moving us forward on this project, but that also means I'm not available to be discussing these other things for these few hours. Let me know if there's a crisis, but I'm going to go keep my commitment to you, the project, and really deliver on this deadline. And so it's committing to the time, whatever the fee.
Yeah, I've got to tell you, you're 100% correct, because when you commit to something, you shouldn't be writing down on the list that you have to get something done. You should be putting it on your calendar.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you can have a list as a reservoir of, things I have to get done, but you should look at that list of things I have to commit on. That's your commit to commit list.
Yeah.
I'm on the hook. I'm on the hook for this somehow, and I need to manage that. Because otherwise, there are things that'll just keep sinking to the bottom, just like the electrician you're waiting for to come to your house and wire up that new fixture.
And that list then becomes, instead of something that's helping you stay organized and prioritized, it now becomes that overwhelming albatross that just follows you around, right? And you can't escape it, and it's always growing and it's getting bigger, and that's how we get crushed. We don't create the action in the space, and that's a big thing for me.
That is big. So how did you get into this space?
Well, I used to boss around attorneys.
Oh boy, that's a strong job.
I managed law firms for about 15 years, and other multi-million-dollar companies. I was always the business side of whatever industry I was in, allowing the experts and the professionals with specialized skill sets to do what they needed to do. And so that left me the opportunity to really understand the different facets of running a business, whether it's the HR side, the accounting, the strategic planning, and the information technology, all of it, whatever you can think of marketing. It was all under the title of mine, whichever I was holding. And so I had a lot of experience. And as a person that was in the world trying to find a way to build a business model that was supportive of my personal wants and needs, and understanding that a law firm requires time, energy, and you have to be there, I needed to make a change. And so the opportunity to go out on my own and take these specific answers to an industry that needs it so desperately, I'm all about trying to create that content quickly, easily, specifically, and just keep them moving.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great start to your story there. And I'm looking, I'm just rolling down your LinkedIn list here, the places you've been, and it tells a great story. So if somebody comes to Talmar it up with you, what are they looking for there?
My Talmar it up clients are usually in some kind of transitional growth. They're getting ready for something. They might maybe they've had some success recently and they're ready to grow to 3 offices, or they have been doing what I call the default growth phase, where they keep hiring people to take care of this specific need, and then they kind of have more tasks and assignments fall to them because it defaults to them. They had time and they were available, or they took the call. And at some point, a business owner has to step back and say, I need to organize this. That's when we become the organization, and we start to recognize the business has needs outside of the personalities, including the business owner. And so I work with people to pull out what the business needs to become successful. I help work with them to understand the metrics and how their actual business is working, not just business as a whole, but how clients decide to buy, what works for them, where they're making the most money, what takes the most time, and how to forecast and create hiring triggers on when to hire in the future.
And this is why I like all of your content here so much. There's an item here. I'm not going to get in any trouble with iTunes for saying this. I don't think. Well, who cares at this point? But you've got this service listed here called the Ass Kicking Muse.
Yeah.
And I just love that. And you know, I could see people, including myself, going, yes, that's what I need.
Yeah, I people often ask me if I'm a business coach, and I'm actually a consultant. And the difference is that I'm bossier, right? A coach is going to help work with you over 12 months or however long to learn to set goals and learn to get things done in a process and create habits within you. But a consultant's going to come in and give you the answer. And the ass kicking comes in because I kind of don't let people shine me on. They either are going to get it done or they're not. And I really work with my clients on short focus time frames. I don't do like year-long engagements on anything. We try to always parcel our projects down to 90 days if possible. Some projects need to be 6 months, but we can create a real structure and affect change in 90 days, 3 months, and then I can create those habits for them so that they can move forward because it's their business and they need to be able to drive it. So I'm all about giving them the answers, helping them get down the road and create that action, but then I set them free. Go be wonderful.
Yeah, there you go. Be brilliant. Go be brilliant.
Yeah,
that's interesting, your perspective. When I talk about coaching, I come in saying, I don't have all the answers, but I will get the best out of you that I can.
Yeah, and that's much more human and less bossy. But the truth of the matter is my clients are really smart, successful, fabulous people. They have great passion, and I don't know their business as well as them. I know business process, and I can create structure to allow them to reach that successful moment. So I can say to them, I do know this stuff. They come to me usually at a point of overwhelm where they're like, I just want someone to tell them what to do. And that's totally where I step in and I say, okay, we can create these decision points. I'm going to lay them out and we're going to make a decision right here, right now. And I really don't make the decision for them, but I'm very specific on what the pros and cons of every choice are. And I try to keep them focused on the decision that matters today, not what ifs. Today we're deciding this. Let's get focused and let's move forward and not have to keep rehashing it.
Well, your hands now with the business side of business and Talmar up. You're one busy lady for sure. So I hesitate to even ask you what's over the horizon for you.
Well, there's a book. I know everybody does the book, but the worst part is I've been writing my book for 18 months, and I'm pretty sure people are sick of hearing me say it. But it's actually very close to done. And additionally, I'm looking forward to just creating more products that will get my information to people a little faster, a little easier. Stuff that doesn't take 100% of my time, but still can deliver content and the answers and specific guidelines for people so that I can help more people instead of be limited by my calendar.
Well, we'll be on the lookout for that for sure. So if people in need want to find you somewhere, where can they find you?
Well, thanks for asking. It's Talmar It Up. That's TalmarItup.com. But I am as connected as I can get. I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, and then my Twitter handles are the BIZ side of biz for my podcast, and at Talmar TalMara for my Talmar It Up account. And I just, again, it's about trying to find easy, direct answers for everybody because I don't think it has to be that hard. Business is not innate. It's a learned process, and I'm just trying to find ways to deliver the information to everybody.
So thank you for all those contacts, and we will have all of those in the show notes.
You're so kind.
Sure. So I've talked to a lot of people recently that have found themselves on the wrong side of a downsizing. And they are drawing the deep breath and go, is this the cycle? Is this the time that's for me to start my own? What's your message to those folks?
I think it's going to surprise you. Not everybody needs to be a business owner. I understand that downsizing, if there's a time when you want to have control over it, that's the time to decide it. But you need to be really sure and understand what it takes to be in business for yourself. And the first 2 years can be so difficult financially, emotionally, energetically. So if you're feeling drained, it may not be the perfect time for you to start. But if you have that passion and you've connected with the market and you know that there's something there, then this might be the time to step into that. And the best thing I can offer you is find some great reference people around you, mentors, coaches. Invest sooner, not later, because you're only forestalling. If there's an area you don't know, you're probably it's going to take you 2 years to learn that area. So pay somebody for 5 hours and get the answer now. It just will help you get there faster and monetize that business.
The most sage of advice. Talmar, thank you very much for this. And please come back anytime. Love chatting.
Oh, you're so kind. I appreciate this. This was fun. I'd be happy to speak with you and your audience anytime I can help.
That would be to our benefit. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Labrador Leadership Podcast. For the sake of all the special people in your life that deserve you to be the best leader you can be. Connect with us on our website at LabradorLeadership.com, on Facebook at Labrador Leadership, and on Twitter at Lab Leadership. Now, here's a final thought from Bob.
Many, many thanks to Talmar Anderson for taking time to come sit with us today. Take a look at her website. Check out the links to the show notes. And remember, take care of one another. All right, we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend. Bye.